They laughed. Not kindly, but sharply, the kind of laughter that cuts. Her dress, soft and unbranded, was compared to a tablecloth. Someone whispered she must have slipped past security. A baroness snapped, "You're blocking my shot, darling," her entourage snickering behind her fan. No one in the room knew the truth. Anna Blake was the artist behind the painting everyone was bidding on Veil of Dawn, valued at $20 million. She wore no jewelry, no makeup, no smile for the cameras. She stood still in a sea of silk gowns and tailored tuxedos, the only sound around her the clinking of crystal and quiet mockery. Then she raised her paddle. For a moment the room went still. Then came the laughter, louder this time, certain she was joking. She wasn't. Gustad Auction House rose like glass and stone royalty above the Swiss Alps. Its mirrored walls reflected snow-capped silence, but inside the air pulsed with power. Guests moved like choreography billionaires in velvet heiresses in diamond-dripping gowns, tech moguls whispering in foreign tongues. Waiters glided through with trays of vintage champagne. Conversations swirled Warhol, Basquiat, a rumored Monet. At the heart of the room, an unsigned painting, Veil of Dawn, a swirl of deep blues and molten gold breathing like fog at sunrise. Estimated at $20 million, it held the room in a quiet trance. Anna Blake stepped through the entrance without a ripple. No cameras turned, no murmurs followed. Her invitation was unscanned, unseen. She wore a simple ivory dress, unlabeled, soft, almost weightless, like something remembered more than owned. She carried no purse, only a small paddle with her name in plain print. No one knew her, and yet the painting pulled her in like it knew her back. She paused before Veil of Dawn. Unlike the collectors circling it, eyes calculating, minds racing through auction catalogs, Anna didn't scan the brushwork for authenticity or hidden value. Her gaze lingered slow, familiar. She traced each stroke with her eyes, not her hands, as though seeing a memory, not a masterpiece. The room didn't notice her. Not yet. The buzz around her was low, and curated murmured appraisals practiced laughter, the clink of crystal against crystal, until a voice sliced through it all. "Sweetheart," came the drawl, polished, amused. Hugo Reinhardt, a German industrialist in a suit sharp enough to cut. He raised a brow, letting nearby heads turn. "People like you belong in the live-stream chat, not this room." Laughter followed. Not loud, but loud enough. Anna said nothing. Her expression didn't shift. She kept looking at the painting as if he hadn't spoken at all, but she heard it. Everyone did. A woman in emerald swept past all perfume and posture. Baroness Celeste von French aristocracy with a private jet and a sharper tongue. She halted beside Veil of Dawn phone, raised high. "You're blocking my shot, darling," she snapped, accent crisp like brittle lace. Anna didn't move. The Baroness blinked, annoyed. "Step aside before I call security." Behind her, two women in fur stoles giggled. One leaned in and whispered, just loud enough, "Does she think this is a museum freebie?" Anna stepped back slowly, calmly. She never took her eyes off the painting. Not once. The flash went off. Celeste smiled, oblivious. Somewhere her Instagram caption already composed itself. Art only the elite understand. But Anna stood still in the frame, soft ivory against a storm of status. She didn't smile. She didn't flinch. She just stayed. And the painting somehow seemed to stand with her. The ridicule spread like perfume, invisible, invasive. A cluster of collectors in tailored suits and shimmering gowns began to form a crescent near Veil of Dawn. They didn't lower their voices. That was the point. "Is she lost?" sneered Ingrid Falk's sapphire necklace, catching the chandelier light. "This isn't a thrift store gallery, dear." Victor Lang, hedge fund patent leather shoes, laughed. "Bet she's here to dust the frames." Another voice joined in. "Move, peasant." A hand waved as if brushing away something unclean. Anna didn't speak. Her gaze stayed locked on the canvas. Her face unreadable but not empty. Only her fingers shifted, tightening ever so slightly on the paddle she held. To them, she was invisible. and yet somehow threatening. Mockery rose like a tide. Phones began to lift. Smirks grew. But Anna stood still, silent and small and impossible to unsee. Their laughter sharpened, cutting cleaner with each passing second. A tech mogul, Ethan Caldwell, net worth obscene confidence louder, leaned toward his date, a model named Sasha Lynn. He didn't whisper. "Look at her dress," he scoffed. "Tablecloth chic. Bet it's from a thrift bin." Sasha giggled, diamonds sparkling like approval. "She's probably just here for the free champagne." A nearby art dealer, Clara Novak, overheard and added sweetly, "Or maybe to sketch it for her Etsy shop." Their amusement spread like spilled wine, sticky staining. Eyes turned. Phones angled. Every glance now a weapon. Anna didn't move, but her paddle still in her hand caught the light, trembling only slightly. Her back was straight, her face calm. But something deeper shifted beneath her stillness. Not anger, not shame, resolve. She turned quietly and made her way to the last row of seats. No one offered space. She sat anyway. The auction began. A hush swept through the room as the lights dimmed slightly, framing the stage in cool amber. Crystal clinks gave way to the measured voice of the auctioneer Julian Morrow, silver-haired gavel poised with elegance. First lot, a Picasso sketch. Bidding opened and closed in under 30 seconds, $12 million sold with a nod. Then a Rothko muted reds and silence. $18 million. Another nod. Another glass raised. Anna sat in the back row. Her paddle rested in her lap, fingers lightly curled around it like someone holding on to a secret. She didn't look at the bidders. She watched the canvas. When Veil of Dawn was announced, the room shifted. A ripple. A pause. Then movement, fast, sharp. Hugo raised his paddle. Celeste followed. A Saudi prince joined. $10 million, $12, $15, $18. And Anna still. Not frozen, just waiting. The moment hadn't come yet, but it was close. An auction staffer approached. His vest was crisp, smile, rehearsed voice just loud enough for the nearby rows to hear. "Miss," he said, leaning in without bending, "this isn't open seating." Anna looked up, expression soft but unreadable. "You're not on the VIP list," he added, lips tightening into a smirk. "You might try the lobby." Several heads turned. The message had been delivered and received. Another staffer joined, clipboard in hand, scanning a list he didn't check. "She's probably just here for a free view," he muttered, just audible enough to sting. Laughter spread, polite, poisonous. One woman tilted her glass toward Anna like a toast to audacity. Anna didn't respond. She stayed where she was, paddle balanced gently on her knees. Her posture was composed, but the silence around her was being carved into something colder. They saw her as a trespasser, but still she didn't leave. Not yet. Then she raised her paddle. It was a small movement, no drama, no flourish. But it struck the room like a dropped glass. For a split second, there was silence. Not reverence, confusion. Then came the laughter. Loud, open, cruel. Sasha Lynn turned in her seat, voice sweet with venom. "Oh, look, the poor girl thinks she can bid." Ethan Caldwell chuckled. "That's adorable. Dreaming in millions with zero in her purse." Clara Novak leaned forward, pearls clicking softly. "Save it, honey. This isn't a charity raffle." Even Celeste fanned herself lazily, whispering, "She's embarrassing herself." Phones began recording. Screens lit up like fireflies, catching Anna in angles meant to mock. Still, she held her paddle aloft. Unwavering. Unashamed. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. She simply looked ahead, waiting to be acknowledged. And, for the first time, they didn't know what to do with her. The bids climbed. $18 million. $19. $20. Each number fueled the frenzy, voices sharp, hands flashing paddles like weapons. And through it all, Anna sat still. Her paddle raised calmly, almost gently. Sophia Grant. Ruby earrings. Catching the chandelier light, turned sharply toward her. "You're joking, right?" she said, her voice slicing through the crowd. That paddle's not a toy, girl. Stick to crayons. More laughter. A man near the front stood halfway, gesturing to security. She's insulting the art with that bid. Others joined in. Phones rose higher. Lenses zoomed. Every second was another viral frame. She doesn't belong here. Who let her in? This has to be a prank. Get her out. Anna didn't move. Her paddle stayed high, her face serene. She wasn't fighting back. She wasn't running. She was just refusing to disappear. Diana Voss, art critic in Sapphire Silk, lifted her phone. Her fingers flew across the screen, live tweeting, without blinking. Is unknown, in ragged dress crashes Gustad auction. Thinks she's a player. Auction. Joke, #veil of gone. By the time her tweet hit the feed, the replies were already multiplying delusional. Escort her out. Where's security? Nearby, a guest went live on Instagram. His voice rang clear. Nobody's making a fool of herself at Gustad until now. Screens lit the room like a second chandelier. Anna's image paddle raised, dress soft and plain became a meme before the auctioneer could speak again. Monopoly, money, Queen, tablecloth, couture, Etsy, Picasso. Anna remained still, not frozen, grounded. Her silence was a wall, but outside the digital storm surged and the world began to laugh with the room. She didn't speak. She just kept holding her bid against every voice trying to erase it. The auctioneer, Julian Morrow, hesitated. His gavel hovered mid-air as he leaned into his earpiece, brow furrowed. On his tablet, something flickered an alert unexpected. The crowd noticed. A hush settled cautious electric. Then Anna raised her paddle again. It rose slowly, deliberately, a second declaration. The laughter returned sharper now, tinged with something uglier. Marcus Tate, a hedge fund name carved into glass towers, hissed, "She's delusional." His date snorted. "What's next?" "Bidding with Monopoly." "Money." Sasha's voice rang out again. Louder, crueler. "Security." She's mocking the art. Heads turned. Security lingered at the edge, unsure. Even Julian's voice faltered as he tried to resume the bidding. Anna didn't flinch. Her paddle caught the light again, not flashy, not gold-plated, just present, unmoving. And suddenly, her silence felt heavier than their noise. They wanted a scene. She gave them stillness. The mockery didn't stop. Diana Voss, pen tapping her notepad, leaned toward her companion just loud enough. "She's probably some blogger faking it for clout." Her tone was clinical dismissive, the way you talk about someone already erased. "She borrowed that dress. Pathetic," Marcus Tate added without turning his head. "Bet she's never seen a million, let alone bid one." Laughter bloomed again, not spontaneous anymore, but collective. Tribal. Rows of faces turned toward Anna like theatergoers watching a farce unfold. Phones stayed raised. Comments scrolled faster than eyes could track. Who is she? What a joke. She's ruining the room. And still, Anna didn't react. Her shoulders didn't rise. Her jaw didn't tighten. She just sat, still holding the paddle, still facing forward, like she'd seen this all before and already forgiven them for it. The laughter swelled, but something beneath it had begun to crack. Julian Morrow's gavel never dropped. He leaned deeper into his earpiece now, his face paling slightly. Whatever he heard wasn't routine. Then the bidding stopped. Hands lowered, voices quieted. Even Hugo Reinhardt, mid-bid at 20 million, let his paddle drift back to the table. Julian cleared his throat, eyes scanning the room, then settling on Anna, the only person not looking away. His voice, when it came, carried something unfamiliar. Tension. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said slowly, "I've just received a private request from the artist." A pause. Spine straightened. Glasses stilled mid-air. "She wishes to withdraw Veil of Dawn from sale permanently." Gasps ricocheted off marble and bone. Someone dropped a flute of champagne. A crystal note rang out. Then silence. Only Anna moved, rising from her seat without a word. The spotlight found her. A soft circle of gold breaking through the silence, casting long shadows on polished marble. Anna Blake stood in its center. She didn't rush. Each step toward the front of the room was deliberate not for drama, but for truth. Her dress, once mocked, now caught the light like silk woven from dusk. Every footfall echoed not loudly, but clearly. No one spoke. Not Hugo, not Celeste, not Sasha. Even the phones, now lowered, forgot to record. Anna reached the podium. She didn't touch the microphone. Her voice didn't need it. "My name is Anna Blake," she said. She looked at them all, the auctioneer, the bidders, the ones who had laughed. Her tone was calm, measured, but unshakable. "I painted Veil of Dawn." She let the sentence hang there unembellished, and the room, so full of noise just moments before, had never felt so small. "I painted it," she repeated, voice steady. "In the back room of a shelter in Detroit." Her eyes swept across the room, not accusing, just clear. "With paint I couldn't afford. On a canvas donated by a retired teacher who believed in people like me. No one moved. Even the security guards now stood still, hands at their sides. I watched you all bid $20 million for it," Anna continued, "but you didn't see it. Not really." She reached into her small clutch and pulled out a folded sheet, the certificate of authenticity. Holding it between two fingers, she raised it, let them all see. Then with one slow tear, she split it in half. The sound, paper ripping, echoed like thunder in a room built to muffle truth. "I'm buying it back," she said, "for $1. A murmur rippled through the silence, disbelief meeting awe too stunned to resist. She held the torn certificate in her hand for a moment longer, then let it fall. Two halves drifted to the marble floor like something shed something finished. "I will no longer sell my art to people who hang it just to prove they can," Anna said. Her voice wasn't raised. It didn't need to be. Her words settled over the room like dust after collapse, soft but inescapable. "I've spent years painting behind closed doors, selling anonymously through a mentor who passed away last spring." She paused, breathing in the stillness she had created. No more. She looked toward Veil of Dawn, the canvas that had ignited the night now suddenly still and weightless on its easel. "My 42 remaining works will be shown for free," she said, "at the orphanage where I grew up." A silence deeper than shame took hold of the room. They had all come to own something. She had come to reclaim it. No applause, no questions, just silence. Hugo Reinhardt lowered his gaze. Celeste Vaughn's fan stopped mid-air. Ethan Caldwell stared at nothing glass still full in his hand. Anna stepped down from the podium, the spotlight following her. She didn't look back at Veil of Dawn. She didn't need to. Her gown, once mocked, now moved like silk memory, graceful, unbothered. Her steps were slow, not hesitant, grounded. She walked past the same people who had called her peasant joke blogger. Not one met her eyes. Near the glass doors she paused, turned slightly. Her voice, softer now, broke the quiet one last time. "Art isn't a price tag," she said. "It's a pulse." And with that, Anna Blake walked out. No applause behind her. No escort. Only silence thick, stunned, and permanent. And the sound of a door closing behind her like punctuation. By morning, the world had changed. The photo, Anna Blake beneath the spotlight dress glowing like quiet fire eyes steady, was everywhere. Shared, posted, reposted. No caption could contain it. The woman they laughed at is the genius they couldn't afford. Headlined, The Guardian. Art blogs, news outlets, morning shows all ran the story. Some with shame, most with awe. Her name, once unknown, now trended across continents. People wanted to know, who was she? Where had she been? How had no one noticed? The truth unraveled quickly. Anna Blake, raised in a group home in Michigan, self-taught, unseen. Her paintings had been sold in secrecy by a mentor who protected her name until the day he died. And now the mask was off, and the art world built on pedigree and price had no idea how to respond. Because she hadn't just walked away. She had walked through them. Veil of Dawn became legend overnight. Critics who had once praised it in abstract terms now returned humbled, curious. They no longer spoke of palette or composition. They spoke of grief, hope, defiance, emotions braided into every stroke. Art historians dissected the layers. One noted the echo of loss in the blue horizon. Another saw resistance in the gold sweeping upward like a sunrise refusing to dim. People didn't just want to see her work anymore. They needed to feel it. Reports surfaced of other Anna Blake originals scattered across the world. One in a Dubai vault, anonymous. Another in a London museum purchased unknowingly under a pseudonym. A third rumored to hang in the office of a Japanese tech titan. Now they were all priceless. Not because Anna made them scarce, but because she made them untouchable. Not by hands, but by motive. Offers flooded in. Collectors reached out with blank checks. Museums pleaded for loans. A queen reportedly sent a handwritten letter. Anna responded to none of them. She didn't speak. She didn't post. She didn't explain. Her silence became its own kind of message, not defiance, not arrogance, but something harder to dismiss peace. Meanwhile, the orphanage where she grew up, small, weathered, once forgotten, announced something simple: a free public gallery to open within months. Funded not by Anna, but by thousands who'd been moved by her stand. Volunteers showed up without being asked. Painters offered to restore the building. Donors, large and small, came not to buy, but to help give something back. Anna never appeared on the press line. She never claimed a stage. She was already painting again quietly somewhere behind the scenes, and her silence kept speaking louder than the world ever could. Reporters camped outside the orphanage gates. Cameras waited. Anchors rehearsed words like recluse icon mystery. Anna never came out. Inside she painted, with children, with old brushes, with colors mixed by hand, not curated by consultants. A grainy photo leaked Anna Blake in jeans barefoot, kneeling beside a boy holding a dripping brush. They were both laughing. It trended harder than the auction photo. Art Forum ran a cover, Anna Blake, the artist who redefined worth. Inside, they chronicled her path from shelter walls to gallery halls, from anonymous sales to global myth. It turned out her works had already reached royalty tycoons' institutions. They had hung her art proudly, not knowing her name. Now, with her name revealed, they couldn't touch it anymore, because she hadn't given it to them. She'd given it to the world, and she wasn't asking for it back. The gallery opened quietly. No red carpet, no champagne, no celebrities flown in for photo ops. Just a weathered brick building with wide windows painted clean, filled with light. And a single handwritten sign taped to the door, open to all. They came in waves, children holding parents' hands, elderly couples leaning on each other, teenagers in thrift store jackets, artists carrying notebooks. No admission fee, no time limits, no guided tours. At the entrance hung Veil of Dawn unframed, its blues and golds raw open like it had never belonged anywhere but here. People didn't just look, they stood. They breathed with it. Some wept. Some left notes, folded pieces of paper with words like, "You showed them." Thank you for giving this to us. Anna didn't attend. She was in the back room painting, a child beside her, brush in hand. She didn't speak at the opening. She didn't stand for photos. She didn't explain her absence. She was exactly where she wanted to be, kneeling beside a girl learning how to mix purple from red and blue. Her hands were smudged with paint, her sleeves rolled up, her voice quiet, patient. That moment, more than the headlines, the outrage, the millions, was the real gallery. Volunteers passed through quietly. Some came to watch her paint. Others just left donations in a jar marked brushes and bread. She never counted them. What she counted were the laughs, the questions, the silences when a child looked at color like it was alive. She gave them canvas. They gave her presents. And in those soft, unnoticed hours, Anna Blake built something greater than a legacy. She built belonging, one brushstroke at a time. The world kept trying to pull her back. Magazine covers, TV interviews, invitations to speak at galas to sell again on her terms. Publishers offered book deals. Biopics were pitched. Anna said nothing. She stayed where the light came through the windows late in the afternoon, soft and gold, catching the dust in the air like slow snow. Children painted beside her, sometimes silently, sometimes not. Sometimes they asked, "Did you really paint the $1 million one?" She would smile just a little. Then point to their canvas and ask, "Do you like yours?" She taught them how to hold a brush, not tightly like a weapon, but lightly like a breath. And in doing so, she gave them more than art. She gave them permission to be unseen, but never unworthy. In a world that measured everything, Anna Blake kept giving things away, and somehow that made them infinite. The ones who mocked her felt it first. Hugo Reinhardt's offhand insult, "She belongs in the livestream chat," was clipped, reposted, memed into oblivion. Investors pulled out of his firm. Clients cited values misalignment. A summit in Berlin turned cold. A whisper followed him through every hallway. He mocked Anna Blake. His art collection, once his pride, was quietly liquidated. Celeste Vaughn's security threat trended for days. Clips of her fanning herself barking orders at Anna played beside tweets that read, "This is everything wrong with privilege." She lost brand deals. Charity invitations dried up. Her signature emerald green posts bled followers by the hour. She issued no apology. Neither did Hugo. None of them did. They thought silence was safety. But now silence belonged to someone else. And in that silence, Anna Blake was louder than ever. Ethan Caldwell's smirk, frozen in a paused livestream, became a symbol. "Tablecloth chic," he had said, pointing at Anna's dress. Now the clip looped endlessly in commentary videos, think pieces, digital museums of shame. His startup lost funding. His followers evaporated. His name became a warning, not a brand. Sasha Lynn disappeared from runways. Brands canceled quietly. Campaigns pulled her face from their pages. A single viral comment echoed under every post she didn't delete. Still laughing now, Clara Novak's gallery, once invitation only, went dark. Collectors ghosted her. A public spreadsheet tracked which artists pulled their work from her walls. Marcus Tate's hedge fund trended for the wrong reasons. His monopoly money jab became a meme used now by activists against art speculation. And Diana Voss. Her next review, earnest, thoughtful, was met with silence. Her pen had once shaped opinion. Now it didn't even scratch the surface. None of them apologized. Not Hugo, not Celeste, not Ethan, Sasha, Clara, Diana. They vanished into curated absences, statements, drafted comments, turned off interviews, postponed indefinitely. But the world remembered. Anna never demanded retraction, never tweeted a rebuttal, never wrote a thread explaining herself. She didn't need to. Her silence had become a mirror, and they were left staring into it. A headline on Le Monde read, "She spoke once, and it was enough." Meanwhile, the line outside her gallery stretched longer each day. Not just art students or critics, grandparents, janitors, teenagers with cracked phones, people who'd never stepped into a museum but now stood quietly waiting to feel something. No guided tour, no plaque of credentials, just brushstrokes, color, and the memory of a woman who had been told to leave and had instead changed the room. Around the world, her name carried weight, but not the kind you could spend. A queen offered $1 billion for a single canvas. Anna sent back a handwritten note. "Thank you, but it already belongs to someone." She didn't say who. She didn't need to. Hugo tried to visit the gallery in Marseille. His name had been removed from the donor wall weeks earlier. At the entrance, security shook their heads. "We were told not to let you in." Celeste mailed a letter pages long, perfumed apologetic without the word sorry. It went unanswered. Ethan tweeted vaguely about learning to appreciate art differently. He was ratioed into silence. Sasha's last sponsorship dropped her quietly. She posted a sunset photo with no caption. No one replied. They stood now behind velvet ropes, the very kind they once used to keep others out. And Anna, she kept painting, but only for the children. Her new works were never priced, never catalogued, never posted. They dried on windowsills beside mason jars of cloudy water. They hung crooked in the orphanage hallways. Sometimes they never left her sketchbook. A journalist asked why she wasn't exhibiting. Anna had smiled gently, but without bending. "Because it's not finished yet." "What isn't?" the reporter asked. She dipped a brush into green and answered without looking up. "This." She pointed not at her canvas, but at the room full of children, paint smeared on their cheeks, laughing too hard to hold their lines straight. One boy waved at her. She waved back. That afternoon, he painted a sky entirely in orange. She didn't correct him. Art to Anna had never been about perfection. It had always been about permission, and now she gave it freely to those the world had forgotten to ask. The gallery kept growing, not with square footage, but with meaning. A second space opened in Sao Paulo. Then another was announced in Nairobi. Not franchises, not brands, just rooms. Rooms with open doors, open tables, and open shelves of paint. No admission, no merchandise, no press releases. Just brushes, water, and children. Some orphaned, some wandering, some simply quiet. Anna never called them students. She called them painters. She didn't teach technique. She handed them paper and said, "Tell the truth, even if it's messy," and they did. One girl painted a house with no roof. Another painted only her name over and over until the letters looked like music. Anna walked between them not as a guide but as proof. Proof that art isn't something you arrive at. It's something you carry. Even when no one claps, even when they laugh, especially then. She never called it a movement, but others did. Art schools rewrote syllabi. Museums re-examined collections. Collectors who once chased prestige began to ask themselves, why did I ever want to own it? A painting isn't proof of taste. Anna had reminded them it's a pulse, not possession. Expression. She never sat on a panel. She never headlined a TED Talk. But her name appeared in essays and lectures and poems scribbled in margins by students who'd never seen her but understood her. A girl in Istanbul painted her portrait using only her fingers. A boy in rural India wrote her name in chalk beside his first drawing. None of them had met her, but they had been seen by her, through every brushstroke she left behind. And the world, without realizing it, had started to shift. Not from loud voices, but from quiet truths finally taking root. They called her a genius, a rebel, a saint. She never claimed any of it. When asked who she was, she only ever said, "Just Anna," brush in hand. One reporter, persistent, finally asked, "Do you know what your work is worth now?" Anna didn't pause her strokes. She was painting a tree not majestic, just crooked and real. "I know what it's for," she said. That was the only answer she gave. She never copyrighted her teaching, never signed her tools, never called the children her protégés. She let them leave, let them grow, let them forget her if they needed to. But they didn't. They carried her name like a whisper, not shouted, not branded, just held like something gentle, like a seed in the pocket of a coat, waiting for spring. The elite watched from a distance now. Their names, once printed in gold leaf on gallery walls, now flickered at the bottom of exposés. Hugo's firm dissolved within a year. The phrase, "he mocked Anna Blake," had become boardroom poison. Celeste's invitations stopped arriving. At a Paris gala, someone whispered, "She insulted the artist." She left before dessert. Ethan rebranded twice. Neither stuck. Sasha's agency dropped her. Her once glittering profile now sat untouched comments, turned off silence growing in the space where relevance used to be. Clara sold her gallery. Her name too toxic for signage. Diana pitched a book about Anna. No publisher answered. No one apologized. They didn't dare, because by now the apology would be just another performance. Anna had already answered them. Not with revenge, not with interviews, but with a brush. And a locked gate they would never enter again. Hugo tried to come back. Dressed in understatement checkbook in hand, he flew to Marseille. He stood at the gate of the gallery he once laughed at, now lined with schoolchildren sketching in the courtyard. He smiled at the staff, introduced himself softly. They didn't smile back. "We were told not to let you in," one said. "Not ever." He waited outside for 3 hours. No one came. No message delivered. No press noticed. Anna never acknowledged it. Celeste wrote a letter, 6 pages, elegant script, some sentences, almost tender. She offered to sponsor a scholarship to fund materials. The letter was filed, not forwarded. Ethan posted a vague quote about growth and gratitude. It was drowned in replies. "Start by naming her. You're not forgiven." Anna read none of it. She was painting beside a boy, his fingers stained orange, humming softly a tune no one taught him and never needed to. The gallery's walls never changed. Still plain, still soft-lit, still lined with unframed canvases, some hung crooked, some tacked with tape. Visitors kept coming. Not tourists chasing headlines, but people who moved quietly as if entering a sacred space. Some brought nothing but time. Some left folded notes in the corner box marked, "Your Story." Anna never read them aloud, but some mornings her eyes lingered longer on the stack. She still painted. Not on grand commissions, not on demand. On scraps, on walls. Sometimes on the back of a grocery receipt if the light was right. A photo leaked her in a paint-streaked sweatshirt, barefoot, laughing with a girl drawing clouds. It reached 1 million likes. Anna never saw it. She was too busy holding the child's paper steady so the lines wouldn't blur when she added the rain. At the gallery entrance, Veil of Dawn hung still. No frame, no plaque, no velvet rope. Just the painting breathing color into quiet air. Its blues deeper now, its golds softer. Like it had aged into its truth. People stood in front of it for minutes, sometimes hours. Not to analyze, not to impress, just to feel. Some reached out not to touch, but to steady themselves. Others closed their eyes. One man left a note that read, "This painting knew me before I knew myself." No security stopped him. No curator translated his words. Anna never stood beside it. She passed it each day without pause, a mug of tea in one hand, a smudge of paint on the other. She had already said everything she needed to say when she chose not to sell it. Now, Veil of Dawn wasn't owned. It was shared. Rumors swirled. A private collector claimed he had an early Anna Blake bought years ago under a different name. It surfaced at a discreet New York auction. No fanfare, no press. It sold for $500 million, the highest price ever paid for a living artist's work. The buyer remained anonymous. Maybe a king, maybe a coder. No one knew. Anna didn't care. When asked to comment, her gallery replied with a single sentence. "The artist is not available for purchase." Outside, a second gallery was being renovated in Nairobi. Volunteers scrubbed walls, planted trees, strung lights made from old glass jars. Inside, a child painted with their fingers. No lines, no rules. Just color. Anna wasn't there. She'd sent brushes, paper, and a letter that ended with one line, "Let them begin." She wasn't building empires. She was planting gardens and walking away before the applause. People kept trying to assign her a legacy, a movement, a title, a museum wing. But Anna never accepted monuments. She declined every honorary degree, refused every foundation in her name. She simply said, "Let them paint." Still, the lines at her gallery grew. So did the stories. A boy from Senegal painted his grandmother's hands. A girl from Ohio sketched her fear as smoke, then turned it into stars. A widow from Jakarta left a poem folded under Veil of Dawn, 4 lines long and entirely in silence. The world didn't talk about price anymore. They talked about what her paintings did to them, how they felt afterward, what they remembered, what they forgave. In a time obsessed with ownership, Anna had done something radical. She had let go, and in doing so she gave the world what it didn't know it was starving for: art that belonged to everyone. Anna never called it the end. She just kept painting. Most days, no one noticed her leaving. She'd slip out through the back door of the gallery, the morning light soft on her shoulders, a brush still tucked behind her ear. No farewell speech, no signature farewell piece, just a woman with paint on her hands and peace in her steps. Veil of Dawn still hangs at the entrance. Unframed, unlabeled, waiting. Visitors come and go, some in silence, some in tears. Many leave changed. There's no plaque to explain why, no audio guide to tell you what to feel, only color, only truth, and a story that whispers, you don't need to be seen to be real. You don't need permission to make something that matters. Anna Blake walked away from a world obsessed with price and gave us something priceless. Not a masterpiece, a mirror. If this story moved you, let it live beyond the screen. Share it. Tell someone. Or simply remember it. Because sometimes the most powerful art is the life behind it.